Today, the weather, the feel, I said to my husband, this feels like 9/11, that crisp September day, blue skies, low humidity. There's just a feel of that day. On September 11th, 2001, I was living here in Pennsylvania. I was working at the University of Pennsylvania as a clinician in the emergency room and as a researcher in the veterinary school. We were in a seminar from 8 to 9, and I got a call saying there was a plane that just hit, the towers. Knowing that the nature of it and the fact we were in Philadelphia and New York was so close, it was a no-brainer that our team was going to get called up. I got the official call that we were deploying. I headed out to my house. I got my go bag, got all the stuff that I thought I might need, and we headed up to New York. As we approached the New York area, we were in New Jersey, you could just see there were almost like miles of emergency vehicles. People were coming out, they weren't going in. It was a real mix of like what just happened and also I can help. The smell of that building was of sewage, of wet carpet, of dust. And there are times when I walk into a place that has that, accurate, it's just it's so imprinted. I'm like, whoa, that's a flash. You're walking around and it almost feels like slow motion because everybody was walking kind of head down, moving to the pile, bucket brigades taking stuff off the pile. The first responders were absolutely without emotion. We were so convinced that there were survivors somewhere. It was 5 or 6 days in that we finally were like, we're not going to find anybody. And then the focus became, let's recover every single person, at least some part of them, because they deserve to be remembered in this way. We don't even know the total number of dogs that worked the event. We think about 300 dogs were there. We're not sure. And then there were all the therapy dogs out on the perimeter that we weren't interacting with, but there were hundreds of dogs that were out there as therapy dogs. One of my very favorite memories, and I was able to get a photograph at one point when we had 3 first responders who were taking a break, sitting on a broken beam, and one of the search dogs walked by and they reached out to pet the dog and a smile cracked on their faces and their eyes just kind of had a little bit of light. I knew the moment we were actually on site that we needed the research, because what we had happen while we were on site was the rumor mill was rolling. They were talking about dogs were dying, and I'm like, whoa, we need to make sure that if this is true, we need to fix something. If this is not true, we need to stop this. It was in 2002, and it was in a bar with some of my canine handler friends. We need to know, we need to understand what are the risks, what are the potential. These dogs are so valuable, and as you've met them, they love what they do. How do we support them? How do we put the science, the veterinary medicine, all of those pieces behind? But it took 10 years. It took, here we have this plan, here's this idea. And then we had no place, no physical space, we had no money, we had no dogs. So it was an idea, and I wouldn't let it go. And then when the University of Pennsylvania purchased this property that we're on now, it's a 14-acre industrial site, basically. I came over and I toured it, and I'm like, oh, that is where we need to be. Just walked in and I just knew that here we are, less than a mile from Penn's campus. All this area. We were in every building around here with the dogs, searching and doing all sorts of things. We had the president of the university come with us on one of our searches in this very scary, dark building. And it was just like, this is a playground for the dogs. One of the really important things that comes out of the work of the Working Dog Center, and one of the things that led into the Working Dog Center, is the longitudinal study of the health and the behavior of the dogs that worked at 9/11. We were concerned that those dogs being exposed to that kind of environment, all of the toxins that were there, the fact that they weren't able to wear any kind of protective gear, that they might be at risk for medical problems. We were funded by the AKC Canine Health Foundation to follow these dogs throughout their lifetime. And what I am so pleased to be able to report is that we have data. We have actual information that can tell us what were the effects, and the effects were very minor. The great thing about our study is that we were able to document that the dogs that work in search and rescue, whether they went to 9/11 or not, on average live longer than pet dogs of the same breed. We think that search and rescue, that relationship, that physical work, that mental stimulation, that ability to be such an important part of a team is good for the dogs, it's good for the people. I knew that dogs were powerful, I didn't know how powerful. And that ability for the dog to touch our hearts, it became so real that there is a healing power that dogs provide, and we want to make sure that we can use that, because there's a lot of people that need to be healed.